Good morning, everyone. All right, we can get started. I hope everyone is doing great. And thank you for joining us today. I'm Jyoti from Indium, and I'll be moderating the session today. On behalf of both Indium and WSO2, welcome to this webinar Build Smarter, Deliver Faster AI Innovation with Internal Developer Platforms. I'll quickly brief you on the agenda that we have. So, we will be covering up the core challenges faced by the enterprises when delivering cloud native apps, how the IDPs, which is the internal developer platforms, will help in building faster cloud native apps, and some of the real world stories and the impact that the IDPs have got that we'll be hearing from Indium and WSO2. And finally, as I said, Q&A session, right? So we will begin the conversation around the core challenges that the enterprises are facing when delivering modern, intelligent, cloud native applications, especially in today's AI first world. Then we will explore how internal developer platforms or IDPs are helping teams break through the bottlenecks, reduce the complexity, and obviously ship faster. We will also hear real world stories, as I said, and actionable insights from our speakers, followed by a live demo for the IDP from WSO2. Today, we have Mohan Anantanarayana, Jyoti Kulkarni, which is myself from India, and we are also joined by Chintana and Lakmal from WSO2. Mohan leads the digital engineering at Indium, driving enterprise wide digital transformation through scalable platforms and cutting edge technologies. He partners with global clients to deliver innovation through AI, multi cloud strategies, and architecture led solutions. I spearhead digital transformations across enterprises functions at Indium. With about 20 plus years of experience, I specialize in platform engineering, enterprise integration, and intelligent automation that help in aligning business goals with the technology innovations. Chintana, who's the Vice President Solution Architect at WSO2, helps enterprises design modern cloud native applications, guide architecture across data, APIs, and security. With about 17 plus years of industry experience in aerospace and finance, he brings deep expertise in cloud migration and system integration. We also have Lakman, is a veteran in open source, cloud, and DevOps, and a co-founder ThinkQ. A frequent speaker at global tech events, he has led major projects like Apache Stratos and continues to shape cloud native innovations at WSO2. Indium is fast growing digital engineering company with about 25 years of experience delivering cutting edge solutions across industries through 5,000 plus associates, which spread across 7 global delivery centers, and now it is backed by equity. Indium offers a comprehensive suite of digital engineering services, including product engineering, data analytics, quality assurance, low code, cloud, AI, ML, to name a few. We are proud of the journey that spans across 25 years of relentless innovation, customer focus, with more than 100 plus active clients and a growing team of 5,000 plus associates. With now, Lakmal, can I request you to give a brief about WSO2 and the internal developer platform?
Thanks, Jyoti. Yeah, WSO2 was founded in 2005, and last August 4th, we celebrated our 20th anniversary. We are a global company operating in over 8 countries and with more than 750 employees. It is a pioneer in open source, and all our products are fully open source. We serve 700 plus direct customers, and we have over 25,000 open source users worldwide who rely on our product. WSO2 is also an equity company. Yeah, let me briefly introduce Choreo. We will discuss more in detail throughout this webinar. Choreo is an internal developer platform as a service offered by WSO2. It reduces the cognitive load on platform engineers by providing the right level of abstraction and interface to run a self-service platform for their developers. This boosts productivity by bringing the gap between software engineering and software delivery and operations. Yeah, so you will hear more about its capabilities throughout this webinar.
At Indium, we help enterprises maximize the value of platforms like Choreo, which Lakmal just mentioned, whether it's through GenAI led integrations or cloud native engineering or even full stack modernizations. With that, let's quickly jump into the first segment, the real challenges that we see today when building and scaling cloud native apps in the enterprise setting, which probably helps businesses build smarter, faster, and adaptive cloud native apps by harnessing the full power of AI. We all know that building intelligent cloud native applications is no longer a tech only challenge. It's business imperative. But let's be real. Modern architectures, multiple tools, and even legacy processes still make innovations harder than it should be. That brings us to the core question: what is really stopping the enterprises from delivering software faster and smarter, especially with the AI in the mix and all the technologies that are available in the market, right? So, Lakmal, from your perspective, what is the biggest challenge the enterprises face when the build when they're building intelligent cloud native applications today, and how do platforms like Choreo simplify this reducing tool, this basically by reducing the fragmentation or a tool fragmentation integration overhead?
Yeah, I think the technology complexity is the biggest challenge I can see. If you look at the modern cloud native app development, you can't just write some code and push it straight to the production. Between these two steps, there are a whole list of repetitive and critical tasks, like setting up infrastructure, building CI/CD pipelines, running DevOps workflows, managing environment, handling security, configuration, version control, and the list goes on. To deal with all that, the enterprise uses a bunch of different tools. But here's the problem: like for almost every task, there are multiple tools out there. If you ever look at the CNCF landscape, you know how overwhelming it is. Picking the right tool isn't easy. It takes deep expertise, time-consuming evaluation, and also need to align with company policies. And even once you choose that tool, you are in another challenge, which is developer experience. Every tool has its own interface and its own learning curve and own way of working. So that's create a fragmented, inconsistent experience, and it's slow everything down. This is where the platform like Choreo changed the game. Choreo pulls all these essential capabilities into a one unified developer experience, developer-friendly experience. By taking away the complexity, Choreo lets teams to focus on what they are really matter, which is delivering value to the business.
Mohan, from your work with engineering teams so far, how do self-service capabilities in an integrate internal development platforms help developers move faster? Have you seen measurable outcomes in terms of onboarding or turnaround time or even autonomy?
Yeah, thanks, Jyoti. Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. I'm excited to be part of this session, right? It's about building smarter, deliver faster, and that too along with our partner WSO2, right? Jyoti, on to your question, right? As we see the need of speed, autonomy, and intelligence in the software delivery has never been greater, right? Especially with the AI in the theme of in the mix of everything that we do now. We all recognize that the building intelligent cloud native applications is not just about technology now. The challenges, and it's a strategic business driver as well, right? For CIOs, CDOs, the focus goes beyond adopting tools. It's about driving meaningful outcomes. And the outcomes like empowering the engineering teams to move faster, more independently, and more securely, right? And why? To deliver AI-powered experiences through the products as well as across the channels, right? And why they do it? They do it for modernizing the legacy platform without disrupting the business. That's the key, right? And while doing all these things, right, there are two key things that need to be looked from the platform thinking or a platform engineering perspective, right? How do you enforce governance security without slowing down teams? As well as standardizing CI/CD pipelines across the multi-cloud, hybrid cloud environments. With all these priorities, shape the transformation from the top. The developer experiences tells an equally critical story, right? Because innovation thrives where the developers thrive. That's the bottom line, right? But we know the challenges. They navigate through the siloed workflows, fragmented tool chains, inconsistent access to the environment and the infrastructure, right? And they spend more and more time configuring systems than delivering business value, right? And this had been a key bottleneck in the developer productivity as we see for across many customers.
I think with that, I would like to ask Akmal, right? As the enterprises embark on the modernization journey, as Mohan mentioned, and with all the challenges that he mentioned, what are some of the biggest technical hurdles you see from the technical sprawl and from the integration, or rather integration overhead, and some of the points that Mohan mentioned? What do you see as a challenge, and how does platform like Choreo help not just to simplify this landscape but also improve the developer experience and rather accelerate the business outcomes? Lakman?
Thanks, Jyoti. So when it comes to AI, I think a lot of companies are kind of struggling to figure out how AI fit into their existing enterprise architecture. So what we usually see is that the AI now kind of like a bolt-on thing to existing architecture, which requires whole different set of or new processes about governance, security management, and monitoring. And that's kind of the big problem. So what we've done in Choreo is to improve the developer and operations experience. So we've given features like you can provision connections to existing LLMs. And then platform engineers can monitor, manage, govern the token usage, what people are, what consumers are using these connections and how these connections are being used. And on top of that, you can also enforce enterprise kind of guardrails and safety features when developers are using LLMs. Also, we've integrated organization-wide cost management and cost optimization using AI. So we are using AI to improve the experience that's provided by our internal developer platform. And then this kind of directly targets optimizing the underlying cloud infrastructure costs. Wherever you deploy Choreo, whether it's AWS, Amazon, GCP, we are cloud agnostic and we can provide that optimization on top of kind of any cloud provider or your on-prem Kubernetes cluster when you connect that to Choreo. Also, we've integrated a Copilot experience to Choreo, which acts as a documentation assistant, and also you can ask questions like, if you don't know, like if you take an internal developer platform, there are overwhelming number of features, right? So you necessarily don't know how to, initially when you're starting any kind of like complex platform, you don't know the menu structure, you don't know the navigation structure and so on. So we've integrated AI into the same Copilot experience where users can ask, I need to add new users, I need to grant permissions for this user, and then it'll automatically give you a direct link, and then you can click and you'll be in the right page. Also, we've integrated what we call a chief AI compliance officer to Choreo, and then it'll manage and monitor kind of the security posture of all your policies that you define across the services, APIs, integrations you deploy into Choreo, and then give real-time alerting on violations, and then kind of differences between the policy that's defined and the actual service that's been deployed. Also, to improve the developer experience portion of it, so we've added an MCP server, a model context protocol, a server for Choreo. So you can add Choreo as a MCP server to many of the MCP clients like Visual Studio Code, Windsurf, Cursor, and so on. And then once you done your development, you can directly deploy to Choreo using natural language prompts as well.
Okay, that's interesting. So, cost actually is definitely a growing concern, and you touched upon that. And then you also spoke about some of the cloud spend. Some of the points that you called out were more on the cloud spend and some of the platform operations. But how do you see the cost being taken care of from team effort perspective, or even from a resource allocation perspective? And I think this question would be open to any of the panels. How do you see AI native platforms helping organizations probably to strike a better balance between, the main topic that we are discussing today is on the speed and, achieving cost efficiency and then scaling through digital solutions. Any examples of, or rather, any examples that you would like to see where AI has done a very meaningful, you've used AI for a very meaningful implementation where you have reduced some of these costs apart from what you've just now mentioned from a cloud operations perspective, any other thing? And I would also like to open this to all the panels who would like to take this up.
Yeah, let me go first. Share my thoughts here. I think cost hits at multiple level of the platform. Like it's not just a cloud bill; it's also ongoing operational overhead, developer productivity, and the engineering effort to take it to build, maintain, and scale the platform. So market studies shows building in-house internal developer platform can cost over like a 1 million per year, and reaching to the higher maturity level can take 3 or 4 years. If that platform doesn't deliver the great developer experience, reduce the complexity, it quickly becomes the bottleneck, like slowing down the feature delivery and hurting business outcome. This is where the AI native platform like Choreo make a real difference here. As Chintana mentioned, so we have integrated AI into several key areas to improve both platform engineering and developer workflows. And here the important part. So AI isn't just add-on in Choreo; it's inbuilt into the platform. So that's what allow us to like go beyond AI assistant coding, enabling like a secure enterprise-ready deployment and API management, observability, security, governance, all in place. By making like a AI native to the platform, we unlock the full potential of automation, performance optimization, and also cost efficiency. Like helping teams to reduce overhead, deliver faster, and still maintain the full control.
Thanks. Well, I just got to add some perspective. Thanks, Jyoti. Sorry. From an Indian perspective, right, we also see AI native platforms, right, internal developer platforms like Choreo by WSO2 as a key enabler for smart adaptive operations, right, which helps the team to reduce manual effort, optimize pipelines, and surface efficiencies in real time. And not just surfacing it, right? They show the dashboards on how effectively the processes work across the board, right? Beyond accelerating delivery, we also have leveraged Choreo's AI capabilities with a financial services client to unlock operational intelligence, right? By activating features like anomaly detection, usage-aware scaling, deployment optimization, then platform-driven decisions automatically, right? It drives the autonomous natures of the enterprises, right? And not just executing them, right? And this has delivered 25 to 30% reduction in platform overhead, right? While improving the consistency and the resilience across the releases. That's the critical factor, right? As the saying goes, the wastage saved is the optimization that goes in, right? So it is not just about speed; it's about running leaner, smarter, with greater visibility and at a scale, right? This is what we are also leveraging at Indium, partnering with WSO2's Choreo platform across our multiple customers and drive this across multiple of our initiatives as well.
Yeah, I think that's a very important aspect that you brought it, right? From a modern digital transformation. So you just quickly touched upon the financial customers that you have, but then definitely, as you said, partnerships that are there right now really, brings brings that particular vision to life, right? So can you also give a little more light on this Indium and WSO2 partnership and how they are working together to bring in the scale from an enterprise level, and also keep the focus on the security and the AI and the intelligence intact?
Right. Absolutely, Jyoti. Indium is a global system integrator partner with WSO2. And together, it's like the product and the scale that we bring in from India enable the enterprise to become truly cloud native, whether on cloud, on-prem, or on hybrid by nature. Right? Our focus is not just on implementation, right? We help or we bring a deep engineering expertise, AI-led accelerators from India, platform thinking, right, from the customer perspective, to help organization build faster, integrate seamlessly, and scale with confidence, right? And that too working along with partners like a partner like right, with WSO2's open source platforms and our domain experience, right? We help businesses to reduce TCO and accelerate time to value. That is keyword, right? And in the process, we modernize legacy platforms, streamline APIs like Lakmal and Chintana mentioned. We optimize the integration architecture, deliver new values, and most importantly, securely manage identities and access management and so on and so forth, right? And together, it's not about how we just deliver for the customer, right? It's about how do we do co-creation for our customers, and how do we align the platforms with developer workflows, compliance, and real business outcomes that we deliver to the value. And Chintana or Lakmal, if you have any other perspectives, what's your take on our partnership and how do we bring value? That will be really helpful.
Yeah, Mohan, I think as you mentioned, so WSO2 creates open source products and platforms, right? And then when you're thinking about adapting a product and a platform to a specific business vertical, there's a lot of work to be done to integrate that and then provide a seamless experience for a customer in that vertical, right? Also, in that sense, Indium understands deeply what that digital experience is for different industry verticals, which kind of provides the clients and everyone like faster time to market, and then get value out of it in a very quick amount of time, right? And then combining WSO2's kind of value prop on the product side of things, we can reduce the TC, or the total cost of ownership, for pretty much any kind of industry vertical compared to other competitors out there. And then, of course, being able to, I think, again, talking about your deep experience on these industry verticals kind of translates into providing, if the system is kind of internal, like better kind of developer experience. And again, when the system is deployed, much more kind of streamlined, and then nice use experience for the users of the system, or kind of any kind of stakeholder who is using that system.
Yeah, I guess it's a great perspective, both Mohan and Chintana you gave. So basically, what I would say is Indium understands what it takes to build at scale, and adapting WSO2's platform capability, complex and to handle complex enterprise environments is something that's a big part why this partnership is really working. And together, we are able to help in building secure and faster solutions and implementations that's helping the organizations to scale. That's really a great perspective. But I would also like to understand a little bit on the real world success stories, Mohan, if you want to really spend some time and give a quick example of how Indium has helped, apart from the financial customer that you just said, maybe a little detail on what is the app modernization and the cloud adoption journey that you've had with IDP or any similar model.
Right, sure. So Indium recently launched an agentic AI and proprietary platform called Lifter.ai, right? That uses Gen AI, a set of agentic AI architects, right? I'm calling it as agentic AI architects, right? So it goes in, right? To help the customers to move from a legacy system to a much more legendary platforms, right? It's an agentic powered platform designed to accelerate enterprise modernization, like how do we place IDPs in the current context, right? And talking about Lifter, in the context of modernization, where it extracts the business logic, recommends actionable insights, and drive transformation and cloud modernization, coupled with the IDPs of the world, right? And Lifter AI specialized AI agents, knowledge graphs, and secure LLMs with deep code understanding. It helps in modernization much faster, right? We worked with a financial company that had 20 years of legacy code, over 2 million lines of code, right? And not just analyzing a code base of that size in an old-fashioned way is a humongous task, as we all know. But with the modernization initiative in mind, with applying Lifter.ai, with the agentic powered platform, we have done it in weeks and hours, right? You literally heard it. It's hours, depending on the size and the scale of the platform. The AI didn't just speed up things, right? It delivered insights 100,000 times faster than the manual methods and helped cut down cost, effort, and by around 60% during the analysis phase. What it really did was to give the client a head start, making modernization a lot faster and a lot smarter. That's the context of our today's session as well, right? How do we build smarter and deliver faster, right? That's one of the examples. Now, there is yet another example as well that really highlights the value of IDP in our work. With the healthcare organization modernizing its integration layer, right? Specifically to streamline how claims data was exchanged with a growing number of external partners and systems. The challenge was typically to from a legacy setup, each integrations, right, relied on custom scripts, manual testing, point-to-point connections, typically as you see in many of the organizations as well. Onboarding a new partner took like 4 to 6 weeks, unavoidable errors, operational overhead, repeated mistakes, so on and so forth, right? We implemented IDP model using Choreo by WSO2, using reusable templates for inbound, outbound workflows, automating the validations, and introducing real-time observability, right? The impact was tangible. Onboarding timelines dropped by around 40%. Production issues reduced, and cross-functional teams gained better visibility and control, right? And as always, success hinged on more than just technology, right? Equipping the developer teams, internal teams with the right skills was essential to scale and sustain this transformation. I'm sure we will do much more initiatives, partnering along with WSO2 as we move forward.
Excellent. Thanks, Mohan. And I think, as you rightly said, this covers literally the topic that we were talking today on giving the developer experience, implementing AI, infusing AI, the intelligent way of working, thereby reducing the time, and of course optimizing on the cost side. Right. So that's really interesting. And also another point you said is that we really look forward to working with WSO2 and many such initiatives. But I would also like to hear from Lakmal on some of the notable transformation stories from WSO2, where, especially Choreo has made some tangible difference, like just Mohan mentioned on a couple of scenarios.
Sure, Jyoti. I think in addition to what Mohan mentioned, so let me share a couple of transformation stories we heard directly from our customers. One great example is the University of Edinburgh, a Choreo customer in education sector. By adapting Choreo, they were able to reduce their infrastructure and operational costs by over 63%. And that thanks to the platform built-in automation and optimized resource management features. And the another comes from the wealth management company in US, where they reported more than 40% reduction in development time. Choreo self-service capabilities streamlined with CI/CD and integrated security help their teams to move significantly faster without compromising any quality or compliance. And we also had a telecom operator who was spending nearly $3,000 per day on a cloud-based log management solution. After switching to the Choreo cloud agnostic observability stack, they were able to eliminate the cost entirely, and while gaining the better control over their data and compliance posture. And these are the few examples. We are seeing similar success stories across industries, whether it's a faster time to market, lower cloud spend, or like improved developer experience. And customers consistently telling us that Korea is helping them to deliver smart and scale faster with less overhead.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Lakmal, for giving that view. I think together, Indium and WSO2 have been really able to make difference to the customers' modernization journey, especially from a cloud native app development and bringing in excellent experience from a developer perspective, and also ensuring that there is considerable reduction in the cost. So I'm seeing at least 25% and above from a reduction of either time, which directly impacts the cost, and also improves the experience, and without compromising on the security aspect, which I think all the panels here are consistently highlighting, right? So I think that's really, and of course, Mohan, it was great hearing about Lifter.ai. Um, um, that's a trademark or probably a product that is patented from India. I would really love to see, rather, a deep dive into the power of Choreo now, and it would be really great if you can introduce Choreo to the audience with probably features from a demo perspective. Over to WSO2 team for a quick demo.
And the architecture and the capabilities of Choreo. And then I'll show you how an application can be developed and then deployed in Choreo quickly. And then also I'll highlight the observability features that's built into the platform, and then show you how enterprise requirements can be supported, like multiple environments, and then provisioning credentials, or in Choreo terms, we call it as a connection. How connections are provisioned and then governed using an internal developer platform. And then, of course, highlight that how development perspective and then platform engineering perspective both be supported using an internal developer platform. Let's look at the architecture of Choreo. So on the top left-hand side, you have the build tools and the developer tools used by developers, like the IDEs, and then other CLI tools, and also source code repositories. So developers usually create application services APIs, and then commit to a source repo, and they use local machines to build and test. And then we have what we call the control plane of Choreo. So this is where we would provision existing repositories that's created, and then from different source repositories like GitHub, Bitbucket, and then GitLab. And then once we provision this code through the control plane, they get deployed into what we call the data plane of Choreo. And then data plane of Choreo is a managed Kubernetes cluster that can come from any cloud provider, or from on-prem Kubernetes, managed Kubernetes solutions like Branch and OpenShift. And then all the workloads, you can see they are created in different projects. And then there are microservices, APIs, and other integrations that gets deployed into the runtime. And on top of the runtime, platform teams have the flexibility to create different environments and then configure these environments however they want based on the use case. Now, Choreo also provide an organizational hierarchy when it comes to grouping and then managing these microservices, APIs, and other integrations. So first of all, we have what you call an organization. So organization can be tied into multiple data planes that comes from different cloud providers. So that gives kind of multi-cloud redundancy when you are deploying workloads. And then once you create projects, so these projects can represent domains in the domain-driven design methodology. And then the idea here is that there can be different teams owning these projects. So there is a separate users and roles, permissions that gets created for these projects, and then you can assign developers from different teams to these projects to manage the artifacts, or artifacts in the sense the services, APIs, and other integrations that they deployed inside this project. And these components or these services, from Choreo jargon, we call it as a component. And then a given component can contain multiple containers based on the replication configuration that operations team that configure. And then a given project again can be tied into multiple environments, and then these environments like dev, staging, prod is completely configurable, and then based on the use case you can configure these environments. So the use case that we'll be looking at today is deploying an application to Choreo. So idea here is that there's a front-end application and also there's a back-end application. So back-end application is Node.js and talks to the OpenAI service via what we call a connection in Choreo. So connection is a way to streamline external dependencies in the platform. So you have a managed way of utilizing and using or reusing existing services from Choreo. So when you move to Choreo, so first let me go back. So this is the project that we'll be looking at today, and then I have the backend already deployed here. So before we get started on that, I want to touch on some of the features and functionality that's built into Choreo. So if we go to the different organizations, so this is an organization that we use internally within WSO to automate all the internal applications and other integrations that's used inside the company. So if we go to insights, this gives like cross-cutting insights across all the services, APIs, and other assets that we've deployed into Choreo. So we can see usage insights. So this is basically kind of API insights and the past 24 hours on the development environment. So we can also choose as you can see, we have multiple data planes connected here. And then we can choose production environment and then see how the traffic looks like. And if there are errors, we can also drill down into errors here from the graph and then see what kind of errors that we are looking at. So another important tab here is latency. So we can see latency, like what are the top slowest APIs, and then we can group latency by different services. Interesting thing here is this alerts tab. So alerts tab gives you a way to create alerts and then listen into these different kind of alerts. So if you go to alert configuration, you can basically get alerts on kind of latency spikes, or there are traffic threshold, or based on an HTTP kind of status code. And then you can create these alerts based on an API, and then add like a distribution list, which is going to get notifications through email. And then there are operational efficiency dashboards as well. So you can see what kind of what are the total number of contributors, total number of projects, components across the enterprise, and then within the time period, what is the CPU memory kind of variation, and kind of the response summary. And then we'll switch back to my organization, and then we look at creating these looks like to Visual Studio Code. And then this is the prompt that I will be using today to create the front end component. So since we already have the backend created, and then it's in the same repo, so we'll use this prompt to create auto-generate the front end, and also create connections from the front end to the back end using Choreo's MCP server that's also configured here. And then I've also done a little bit of context engineering here to give information about enabling managed authentication that comes with Choreo. So you don't have to, when you are developing applications, you don't have to look at external dependencies for authentication. You can use a managed authentication for enabling user login, logout functionality, and also session management functionality in the application. And then I've also told to create the project in the same project that we used to deploy the backend. So we'll see how it goes. So this is going to be a React front end that accepts a user query and then does some background research on the company that we want, and then use a LLM call from the backend, and then get a response back, and then display it to the end user. So we'll paste a prompt here and then see what it does. So idea here is that it will generate the front end component, and also since we've configured the Choreo MCP server, it will use the MCP server functionality to deploy the application as well. That's a important functionality that provided by Choreo, because a lot of the code generation tools can generate code really fast, but when it comes to deployment, a lot of complexities are there to handle, like authentication, and then deploying into multiple environments and wiring from like API, managing API endpoint that changes from one environment to another. So we'll see how kind of seamlessly handle those aspects with this exercise. So we'll let this continue generating the front end component. Meanwhile, let's switch back to the browser. So this is basically continue to add the front end code, and then it will prompt us to add this code to the repo, the GitHub commands, and then okay, let's add this code to GitHub, and then it should prompt us to deploy this using the Choreo's MCP server. Let's see how it does here. So pushing the changes to our repo, and then now the build onwards. So while this is happening, we should be able to look at the progress from the web browser as well. So let's quickly look at browser. So let's refresh here, and we should be able to see the front end being here. So now we can see we have an architecture diagram. So it outlines there's a request that comes from an external gateway. So gateway, we don't have to provision these gateways manually. It comes with the platform already. So you don't have to think about API management explicitly. It's part of the core capability of the platform. So now we can see there's a front end, and also we can see the back end. So let's see, once we create the connection, let's see how the architecture diagram changes. So let's move here. So connection is like a dependency that we create so that from the front end or any service, basically, you can create a connection to another service. So without having to utilize like a changing endpoint, you can create like a static key to call the dependent service, or in this case, the front end is basically talking again. And now we can see there's a connection between the front end to the back end. Let's switch back here. Pushing the changes, and this is now trying to trigger a build for the front end component. Again, we can see the status as well. So in the browser, if we switch to our front end, we can see the build is now kind of progressing. So we can look at the build tab, and then look at the details of the build, and which it should say kind of the steps that it's taking to build for the build process. And now we can see environment setup, and then once the build is complete, it's it's creating a Docker container automatically for us without us having to, or without a developer having to create these Docker files manually. And then it's all automatically doing a vulnerability scan on the Docker container and then pushing into the registry, and then also deploying this. Now it's trying to deploy the build that we just did into the default development environment. So if we go to the deploy tab, we should soon see now in the deployment is in progress. Now our build should be deployed into the development environment. This to our backend, we need to do one change. Since we already have the connection in place, we need to update this web.config. So in order to do that, I have the format in the prompt that I have. So this is again based on the documentation. It's in the window.config. So for this, we need to have the actual endpoint, right? So let's switch here, and then we'll go back to our connections. and then we see the connections to the backend, and then we'll actually it gives the config and the correct URL here. So we'll copy this and then we'll go back to deploy, and then we'll click on config and deploy, and then we need to update this configuration, which is this. We click on next, deploy. All right. So now when we have the web app URL, so let's click here and then see what it generates. So it asks for sign in to continue. So we'll click on sign in, which should bring us to the managed authentication screen, which is this. So here we need the username and password. So let's get that here. We'll go to settings, then application security, manage. We have a user called demo, and then we'll copy the password, demo, and then the password, and then click on sign in here, which should sign us into the application. And then we can also check the backend connection as well. So let's try to say, so now the app connects to the backend, and the backend in turn talks to OpenAI using the connection that we provision. And then now we get the summary back. So that's a very quick demo of creating and then deploying a very simple application into a connection that's provisioned in Choreo.
So thanks, Mohan, Lakmal, Chintana, for bringing in all the perspective and really sharing great features and your perspective about the aspects and challenges that are faced on building these kind of applications in the current world of SCIM things. I would really love to hear from audiences if there are any questions that is there. We're opening the questions for the panels to answer and reach to you for all the queries that you have. Okay. So here goes the first one, which says, in your modernization projects, like the healthcare claims, Mohan, that you spoke about, example that you gave, where, so the question is, what are the top 2 to 3 pitfalls you have seen organizations face when transitioning to internal developer platforms, and how does Indium help in mitigating this? So I think I would like to take this question. So I think so much like other large transformation programs, right? The IDP rollouts also have their share of pitfalls. So we have seen a few that surface again and again across industries. So in fact, I would like to walk you through a couple of them, if not many. So at this particular healthcare client, where legacy claims integration was in focus. So it ran scattered SSIS jobs. There were ad hoc EDIs, multiple vendors with specific schedules. So without redesigning the end-to-end flow, moving the solution to an IDP would have simply replicated the same bottlenecks, but in a probably more shinier environment, right? So what at Indium we did is the approach that we took was basically to apply systems thinking, mapping the full integration ecosystem before we migrate. So what it means is we looked beyond just replacing tools instead of redesigning how data processes, teams interact end to end. This allowed us to create standardized integration blueprint with a common transaction formats, reusable workflows, standardizing and centralizing vendor onboarding, cutting some of the onboarding time, which is as much as about 40%, which is really huge. Eliminating one of the bills, right? So that is something that we saw. Another important pitfall or a challenge that we see, and I think many of you can relate to that, is a skill gap. It's probably or probably the change resistance, right? So when platform is rolled out as an IT project rather than a product, adoption suffers. The team often lacks the context, skills, the sense of ownership that is needed to embrace this new workflow. So that literally causes them to revert to the familiar and less efficient ways of working. So again, to solve this at Indium, generally what we do is the managing the IDP is done more as a platform, as a product. So what it means literally is we run it with a dedicated product owners, a clear roadmap, continuous feedback, embedded champions within delivery teams. This builds actually the trust, speeds up onboarding, and makes the platform as a everyday productivity driver. And in fact, having a partner like WSO2 really helps in adopting this very quickly. I wouldn't take much time, but another quick pitfall that I would like to add is in this race to deliver features faster, the governance and security and probably observability often take a backseat. So this creates a compliance gap, reducing visibility and forcing team to be more reactive firefighting, in the production. And of course, eventually governance observability picks up the momentum. But at Indium, what we do is we use first principles thinking. What it means simply is that we strip the problem down to the basics and ask what must be in place for the platform to be secure and compliant and probably visible from day one. So that answers drives things like a built-in security policy, automated compliance bottlenecks, or sorry, compliance checks, and dashboards that let everyone see everything real time. So that pretty much helps us to move fast without losing control and deliver what we are looking at. So these are some of the things that we've observed in many of our implementations, especially on the ITP end, and this is how Indium has traditionally handled it in a best possible way. Yeah, I think I'll move on to the next question. uh, all right, I think Mohan, this one would really be applicable for you. So the question goes, you highlighted 60% cost and time saving using Lifter.ai for legacy modernizations. Could you share how this AI-powered approach changes the client's long-term modernization roadmap compared to the traditional methods?
Right. It's complicated, but I'll take a step. Right. As we all know, AI is rapidly evolving from a standalone tool with the adoption of or the invention of Gen AI in our everyday life. It is getting embedded into everything that we do, right? And same goes with the software engineering as well, right? And specifically, if you look at from the Lifter.ai, it's being positioned from a modernization perspective as such, right? And typically or traditionally, when you see the modernization has been a large disruptive one-time event, which happens once in a while, right? And it involves months and months of analyzing code, planning migration, with the hope that nothing will break. So that's where the Lifter.ai comes into play, which is an AI-powered platform. And with this, the model flips, right? And it flips in a way that Lifter.ai map the applications, understands the code, it understands the application dependencies, and the final outcome is about it generates if you want to put it very simply, it generates the modernization playbooks, right? And that too very, very quickly, right? And what it helps in a way is that what had been a typical modernization approach, which are typically a big bang, becomes much more sequential and a continuous incremental modernization cycles, right? That's the benefit and power that we foresee of leveraging Lifter.ai in the modernization cycles as well. And how does it do? It does it through gaining the full visibility of the existing platforms, architectures, and it helps the decision makers making the well-informed decisions, right? And it helps in creating a backlog, right? How do you modernize? You modernize through a set of backlogs from existing code base, as well as the future roadmaps that they want to identify the feature that they want to incorporate in as part of modernization, right? So put it very simply, Lifter.ai is an AI-powered accelerator. It modernizes the modernization approach, to put it simply, right? And from a disruptive one-off event to a continuous data-driven capability in a day-to-day delivery, right? Now you associate with the art of possible of how do you extend it with an IDP capability, right? If you are able to embed whatever I talked about from a playbook perspective to an IDP, right? The modernization becomes the part of developer's workflow, right? He can spin off the environments as and when we need it as part of the modernization journey, while CI/CD pipeline and automation testing, including leveraging AI-powered automation, which is yet another offering from Indium as well, right? AI-powered testing, quality engineering, right? So this entire scheme changes when you adopt Lifter.ai from a modernization angle to an which is a brownfield to a greenfield implementations as well. Jyoti.
Great. I think you've really gave a beautiful answer. So I think apart from CIOs, CDOs, the developers, testers would really love to use Lifter.ai for a lot of benefits that you spoke about. Thanks, Mohan, for that. I think there's another good question. I think I would like to direct it to Lakmal. So, Lakmal, the question goes like this. Many organizations still feel internal developer platforms at cost before delivering the value. How do you recommend they measure ROI for an AI native platforms like Choreo within probably first 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, Jyoti, I think the one of the Choreo's biggest advantage is that it delivers a platform-less experience. So instead of spending years and millions of dollars to building and maintaining internal platform in-house, organization can simply subscribe to a Choreo as a software as a service offering and pay as they go. So this means no larger capex commitment and fast time to the value, right? And immediately access to the full integrated AI native platform. Because of the platform is ready to use from the day one. In my opinion, ROI is immediate. You don't have to wait to 6 to 12 months to start seeing the benefit.
Great. I think I hope there is more and more adaptation on that. I think another similar question, probably Chintana, you could take this is, how does an IDP like Choreo ensure the right balance between developer self-service while still enabling some controls?
Yeah, Jyoti. So idea of Intel developer platform is basically to provide this kind of a golden path for developers to, after they create the code, deploy and then manage the applications, right? So in terms of that, Choreo provides several golden paths for different kind of applications. And at the same time, all the kind of platform level operations are offloaded into a platform engineering team where they can come in and then without interrupting the development flow. So at development time, they don't have to think about creating Docker files, creating security scans and all. It's all part of that workflow. But at the same time, platform engineers can come into the platform and then enable guardrails and policies that kind of affects all the assets that developers will be creating in the platform to make sure they comply with the organizational policies.
Okay, thanks, Chintana. I think there's one more question. Is when can we expect progress for an enterprise application from an enterprise application is concerned? For now, is it only healthcare? Probably because we spoke about healthcare, or is it what is expected in terms of future? That is the question. Probably somebody want to know whether it is applicable. It can be used in the other domains as well. So, Chintana, maybe you can give a quick answer on that.
Yeah, I think we talked about healthcare specifically, but it's not tied to just healthcare. There are different verticals like financial institutions and then education sector that's kind of is already adapting and already are our customers for the internal platform for Choreo essentially. And then there are some certain vertical specific that features that we are bringing in. Like for example, in healthcare, there are several healthcare accelerators built in at the development time to enable APIs quickly as FHIR compliant APIs. And then there are connectors already to connect to different EHR systems and so on. So likewise, we have certain accelerators and capabilities built into different verticals, but it's not limited to a particular vertical.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Chintana. Probably we can take another one question or two, probably. So I think Mohan, the Lifter.ai has generated a lot of interest. So there is a question on, can you share an example where AI-led acceleration significantly shortened the CI/CD standardization process?
Right. So one typical example, right, which comes to my mind very quickly is the scaffolding and the boilerplate creation, which are typically a part of the pipeline setup, right? Which teams spends fairly days in creating the configuration files, Docker files, etc., which get accelerated through AI-led accelerators in the CI/CD process, right? And that's one quick one. The second one is about the testing cycle, right? So typically the testing is at another bottleneck in the entire CI/CD process, right? And Indium's quality engineering services includes test automation across mobile, cloud, LLM, performance testing, etc., right? And these are all enhanced using the AI ML approaches as well, right? So quality engineering, which is one of the key services offering, and most of our automation accelerators are AI powered as well right now. This is yet another area, right? And typically in a day in a life cycle of a developer, how do you do PR automation in the CI/CD or a code review analysis? These are some other areas as well. I think this area is fast evolving continuously as well, and big bright minds come to the play, and the art of possible is never small.
Thank you. Thanks, Mohan. I think we have questions flowing in. Probably I'll take one last question. So I think Lakmal or Chintan, any of you can take this. So the question goes like this: for industries like healthcare and banking, where regulatory compliance is a critical thing, in your cloud version of Choreo, what certifications and data protections are already in place, like HIPAA, PCI DSS, or SOC 2, and how does that differ from a self-managed setup?
Yeah, I think
so
like
go ahead,
okay.
Lama.
Okay, yeah, I can take that. And then I think we have SOC 2 and PCI DSS, and also we are in the last stage of getting the HIPAA certification of Choreo. So all the three mentioned certification are in place. So it protects all the data, and we have the well known processors within even the operation as well. We have the categorization, the data categorization, sensitivity based on sensitivity, who can access. Even our operational team can't access any data. There are category level need to be touched upon, go to the access. So all these processes are in place. So we have all the certification that mentioned in the question.
Okay, thank you. I think
Yeah, just one another question. I think there is a gentleman called Tejas Shah. I think he's very keen to who can I speak to take next steps. So
okay.
we will reach out to you. But yeah, Jyoti, if you want to take that.
No, I think that yeah, I was also planning to close on that. So Tejas team will definitely reach out to you from any query perspective. But if you have any detailed query or a particular point where you want to reach out, you can probably type in here, and then we can take appropriate action on that, Tejas. So that way it will help. And in fact, there are a few more questions that we have. But we will make sure that all these questions are answered. We will get back to you on the answers on all the aspects that are coming in as part of these questions. And they just specifically for you, if you can just call out anything specific from reach out that you want to do, that'll help us. All right, I think we'll wind up. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thanks again. We look forward to continuing this conversation. Thank you.